Wasting time. It's something that we all do at certain points, depending on how we feel and what's going on. But there are so many time wasters that you're probably doing and you're thinking that they're actually productive tasks instead. So I'm going to show you what those are in both a business setting and in your normal everyday life. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that now so you don't miss the next video. Now let's look at some time wasters that you would be doing in your everyday life. So not necessarily business focused, but just generally speaking. So a big time waster in your everyday life is this: talking about your goals. And I know some of you are gonna say, no, wait, I've heard that talking about your goals is good. It gets you motivated. It forces you to move into action. But that's actually not true. When you talk about your goals to other people, it does a couple things. And the first thing it does is it tricks your brain into thinking that you've already done something. So I have a video about intentions. You can find that here and I'll link it below. But this gives you a really good idea of why you should not be talking so much about your goals and actually the damage that it can cause between you and people that trust you and what you say, and to yourself emotionally and intellectually. So what you want to do instead of talking about your goals is you really want to put some of your goals into action and then talk about them in a past tense. So rather than saying, I'm going to do this, put it into action, make it happen, even just start it, and then tell people, oh, by the way, I started doing this. The second time waster in life is gossip. Now, gossip is looked down upon in so many different facets of life, but very simply, if you're sitting with somebody, if you're having a Zoom call with somebody and they are talking badly about anybody else, all that does is reflect badly on you. It completely wastes your time. It does nothing for you. And that person that you're speaking to, they will think on some level, wait a minute, if they're talking bad about other people, what do they say about me when I'm not around? Gossip, huge time waster, and it makes you look bad. And the third time waster that we probably all do is multitasking. So a lot of people think that you can do a lot of things at once. I mean, let's face it, we can, right? It's possible. But studies have shown that we're not actually doing anything at the same time. What we're doing is our brain is switching back and forth and back and forth. Oh, I'm cooking. Oh, I'm checking my email. Oh, I'm watching YouTube. Oh, I'm cooking again. Oh, I'm watching YouTube. Oh no, now I'm cooking. Oh, my food burned. Oh, wait, what did he just say? Our brain doesn't actually focus on any two things simultaneously. It just keeps switching. So really, when you think you're multitasking and you're getting more done, you're actually getting less done. Because by switching back and forth, your brain is constantly having to reboot. And every time you reboot your brain, there's a certain warm-up period, if you will. And that warm-up period kills your productivity. So if you're doing two tasks at once, they're both going to suffer and they're both going to take a longer amount of time. What I recommend you do instead is something called batching. And I'll do a whole video on this because this has really helped me in all areas of life, in business and personal. Think about it like this. Batching is similar to when you're gonna do the dishes when the sink is completely full of dishes. Not when there's one dish in the sink. You don't run over and just wash that dish and put it away. I know some people do, but the concept of batching will allow you to be more focused on one task at once with all of your concentration, and that will actually let you get it done faster than if you do one dish at a time all throughout the day. So another example of this is like checking email. How many times do you check your email when you get a notification, right? Even if you don't get notifications, how many times do you check your email a day? And how many times do you respond to it throughout the day? So if you have your email on your personal phone and you're doing that all day long, you're just cutting into your entire day. Instead, set a couple times during the day, set an alarm, and those are the times that you intentionally go into your email and you respond. Okay, so in a business setting, let's say you're in sales and you need to make a certain amount of phone calls every day and speak to a certain amount of customers. One of The biggest time wasters you can actually be doing is taking too many notes. In a lot of my sales trainings, I'll actually see salespeople taking notes after a phone call like this. Not interested. Or like this. Did not answer the phone today. And I will actually say to them, why are you taking these notes? And they think that it's actually productive, that these notes are somehow important. But really, when you take notes on that level of information like that, it's not really going to help you on the next phone call that you attempt for that particular customer. What you're actually doing is you're just procrastinating. So either you probably don't like making these phone calls, or you just want to get the day over with. But either way, this is a huge time waster. You definitely should take notes, but you should take useful notes that will be able to help you on the call with the customer next time. Like what they talked about or what they were interested in or anything relevant. If they didn't answer the phone, you don't have to write anything down. They didn't answer. Leave it blank, call the next person. The second time waster you can make in business is, let's say you work in a call center or you make phone calls for your company and you end up on the phone with a really bad customer or somebody that's in a bad mood, right? And it's just a really bad phone call. The biggest time waster you can be doing here is when you hang up that phone, you turn to your colleague or anybody and you start telling them how bad that phone call was. Oh my God, this guy, he was so rude to me. He said, wait. He said, go, yeah. And then he said, you shouldn't. And then I was like, what? No way. Yeah, he really did that. And then it's too much. All of this time could be spent calling the next customer. But while you're spending time talking about how bad that last phone call was, your competitor is actually calling the next customer instead. Time waster number 3 in business is talking about the potential revenue of a particular client way before you've gotten to the negotiation or contract phase. Now, this is something really easy to do for a lot of salespeople, a lot of entrepreneurs. It's easy to get excited about potential revenue, and you should get excited about it. That's part of the fun of sales. But when you talk about the potential of a particular customer too much before anything has actually happened, and what I mean by that is before the contract is signed, then really what you're doing is you're just wasting your time and you're wasting your company's time as well. And on top of that, also what's going to happen is you're going to, number one, you're going to think that more things are actually progressing with the client than are actually happening just because you're talking about it. The second thing that's going to happen is that you're going to start getting pressure from people in your company. Let's say your manager or the owner of the company asking you, oh, what's going on with that client? What's going on with that client? Especially if it's a big name or if the revenue potential is really large because it's exciting and you told them about how it's possible, or they said, I'm interested. And this added pressure is going to make your job even more difficult, when in actuality, nothing is really happening besides, that maybe that phone call or whatever stage you're at. But the fact that you keep talking about it, maybe with one person and another person, your manager and your colleague, it makes it seem like something more is happening than actually is happening. So don't make that mistake of talking about the revenue potential too long. The fourth time waster in business is doing too much research before reaching out to a customer. It's always good to check notes. It's always good to check the website of the company you're calling. These things are pretty basic, but don't let it take more than a couple minutes before you make that contact. Because what you'll be doing is essentially, a lot of times you'll be preparing for such a long time and then they don't even answer the phone, or the call gets canceled, or they don't answer your emails. Whatever it is, too much research before you ever reach out to the client is really a time waster. And statistically, the more time you spend on anything, the more confused you become. Actually, getting a snippet of information is going to put you in a better position to make decisions and offer proposals and options. I hope these tips were helpful for not wasting time anymore. If you're doing any of these time wasters, start doing the recommendations that I mentioned here instead. Let me know in the comments below what other time wasters you can think of. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. Click that like button, and I'll see you in the next video.